All right, you guys, I got all the information right here, wrote it all down, did my research, and once again, the Michigan DNR is not happy with any of us that took to the field for the Michigan firearm deer season. I got the complete harvest report for the 15-day Michigan firearm deer season 2025. I'm also going to compare it to previous years, 2024, 2023. I'm going to share with you guys the top 5 counties in the state for the deer harvest for the 15-day firearm season. That might help you guys make a plan of attack for next year, maybe different than what you did this year. And yeah, I'm going to talk about my harvest this year. I would like you guys to share your harvest report with me in the comment section, where you're watching from, how you guys did for the firearms deer season, if you hunted the firearm deer season. Let me know in the comments how you guys did, what you saw for deer, all that type of stuff. I appreciate it, you guys. And if you're new here, consider subscribing to the channel. 100% free, costs you nothing. Make sure to hit the bell icon to all. That way you're notified every time I upload another new video, and you can go ahead and watch it and engage with me, as I appreciate it always, you guys. Without further ado, the 2025 Michigan firearm deer season, the 15-day deer season, also taking place on a Saturday. Opening day was on a Saturday, which we haven't had an opening day on a Saturday in 11 years. So with the opening day being on a Saturday, the opening weekend total of deer harvested overall, this is buck and doe. I'm going to break down the buck and doe ratio as we go through the video. And but just the opening weekend alone, 42,965 deer were harvested. For the 2025 Michigan firearm deer season as a whole, 125,554 deer were harvested and reported on the Michigan DNR's report line, harvest line. Go online and report your harvest. Now, I was fortunate enough to harvest 2 deer, and I did report my harvest. If you guys didn't watch my deer camp video, I really would appreciate it. If you haven't yet, go back and watch it after this one. But I reported both the deer I harvested, the buck and the doe. Show you a picture of them right here if you didn't get to see them. But it took me a total of 3 minutes. Now, wasn't that big a deal. They asked a handful of questions. I personally think us as hunters here in the state of Michigan could benefit from this information. I know a lot of guys are against the idea of reporting the harvest like it's an invasion of privacy or something like that, and I get it. I totally get it, and I get it if you guys don't want to report it. Just remember, you're quote-unquote breaking the law if you don't, but to each their own. I did report, and it took me 3 minutes. Wasn't no big deal. So back to the harvest report. 125,554 deer were harvested in the 15-day firearm season. Okay, so of those 125,554 deer harvested in the 15-day firearm season, 79,490 were antlered deer, and 46,064 were antlerless. So quite the staggering difference there. Naturally, Michigan has always been known to be a buck hunter state. We get 2 buck tags. Guys would rather shoot bucks than does. Now, according to the comments in previous videos I uploaded, a lot of guys weren't seeing the does that they were, that they have in the past. So if you go from seeing 10 to 15 does on a stretch of land, every time you go out and hunt, you're only seeing 2 or 3. It really makes it hard to harvest the does, right? Although there's a staggering difference between the two, bucks and does harvest. A lot of that could be due to EHD and other scenarios for the 15-day firearm season. I know my buddy that hunts down in Jackson said EHD, ran through their property so bad. The only bucks they're seeing are really small ones. They seen a few does, but they're not taking deer like they normally do. So let's dive into the top 5 counties, starting with number 5. That's Hillsdale County, coming in with a total harvest of 2,917. 1,675 of those deer were bucks. 1,242 of those deer were doe. Montcalm County coming in at 2,968 deer harvested. 1,819 of which were bucks. 1,149 of which were does. Okay, we're going to take it up to the UP. Our friends from up north, Menominee County. 3,072 deer were harvested in the 15-day firearm season up there in Menominee County. 2,172 of which were bucks. Only 900 does. Coming in at number 2 county in the state of Michigan for the 15-day firearm deer season is Saginaw County. They're coming in at 3,140 deer total, 2,287 of which were bucks, and 1,480 of which were does. Now, before we get to the number 1 county here, you guys, I did have a successful deer season. Filled a buck and a doe tag. Everybody at our deer camp, pretty much everybody had a successful deer season. Deer camp as a whole was a complete success. Great time. Again, if you haven't watched that video yet, I'll leave it somewhere. Maybe I'll drop the link above me here somewhere. I'll put it in the description, or there'll be a link at the end of this video for you guys to click and watch it. I truly appreciate it. It is a long one. Maybe kick it on while you're laying in bed or at the end of the workday or something, and you're looking for a little bit of downtime. It is a long one. Maybe kick it on before you go to bed, fall asleep to it, pick it up later the next day, something like that. But I appreciate it. Also, my backyard, I got these freaking deer coming in. Winter came in a heartbeat here. We got 6 inches of snow last week or the beginning of this week, and all of a sudden, bam, winter's here, right? So the deer in the section behind me are already starting to panic. They're actually going as far as eating my arborvitae, so I got to come up with something for that. But I had 5 different bucks right up against my backyard yesterday looking to eat my arborvitae. And this morning already, I seen a doe coming through the woods and making her way, towards the fence to start eating on them. And as much as ate some of the arborvitae, I'll share a video clip with you right now. So I've lived here 5 years, and they got to my arborvitae last night in the middle of the night. You can see the tracks. My dog can't go up there because I got an underground fence. But those rotten bastards started getting on them. Really did some damage to that one. Never had to wrap them before, but unfortunately we can't bait here in the Lower Peninsula thanks to Governor Whitmer, and that would ultimately get rid of the issue of them eating my arborvitae, because I would have no issue giving them a little corn or sugar beets to help get through the winter here. But yeah, it's unfortunate. Hopefully we can get something settled this year with the baiting ban here in Michigan. Make baiting great again, make it legal again, because we really need the ability to do some of this stuff. Not only does it help with hunting opportunities, it helps with helping the deer herd survive through the winter. There's a lot of benefits. There's more pros than cons that are the result of being able to feed or bait deer. So with that being said, let's dive into the number 1 county in the state of Michigan for the deer harvest. Without a surprise to me, it's where I hunt. It's where I grew up hunting my entire life, still hunt today, and that is going to be Sanilac County, coming in at 3,767 deer harvested. 2,287 of which were antlered, 1,480 of which were antlerless. I did add 1 to each one of those columns myself. Proud of it. Proud I decided to take the 1 buck this year and end my buck hunting season and put my other buck tag on a doe. Overall 15-day deer season, almost 80,000 deer were bucks. Over 45,000 deer were does. That's quite the number. But what does it compare to last year and the year before? Now, I said this year 125,500 deer were harvested overall. Let's kick it back to 2024. 133,374 deer were harvested in the 15-day firearm deer season, which is almost 10,000 more deer than this year. 84,686 of which were bucks, and 48,697 of which were does. More does shot last year compared to this year, and quite a few more bucks shot last year compared to bucks this year. Naturally, because there was more deer harvested overall last year. So let's kick it back to 2023 in comparison to 2024 and 2025. 2023, Michigan deer hunters harvested 137,074 deer, 85,313 of which were bucks, 48,761 of which were does. Now, these are all relatively comparable in the past 3 years as far as overall harvest and buck to doe harvest. So, unfortunately for us and the DNR and NRC, unless something changes, we're not going to see these numbers make a difference. I mean, that's 3 years in a row, and Michigan deer hunters have always had a buck hunting, issue. We all like shooting bucks, right? And you get 2 buck tags, so a lot of guys like to burn a tag on a small one and wait for a big one. It's always been the thought process in Michigan. There is trophy hunters that, only wait for trophies. Sometimes they get 2 a year. But unfortunately, until we limit the buck tags, these numbers are going to stay the same indefinitely. Probably continue to decline because of the lack of participation in the deer hunting season year after year that goes by. More people are getting out of the sport. The DNR are running them out of the state. They don't want to deal with the DNR anymore. They don't want to deal with the rules, regulations, new laws that the government's forcing down our throat. And honestly, I can't blame them. So it's unfortunate. Hopefully people from the NRC see some of these videos and pull their head out of their ass and start working with us in the DNR collectively to get Michigan to become a state like your Missouris, your Ohios, your Kansas, things like that, where baiting is legal. We have 1 buck tags in a lot of those states. And you could break it down into, as far as doe harvest. I know in Ohio it's by county, right? And so like Ross County might be a 3 deer county. You can shoot 1 buck and 2 doe, but that's all you get. And it seems like Michigan, since EHD has really ravished part of the state, that might be a route they need to go to rebuild the population in certain areas and, bring the population down in some of the areas. Try to balance the herd as a whole, because obviously from one end of the state to the other, the deer population changes damn near county by county. So with that being said, hope you guys appreciated the information. I hope you guys had success. Some of you guys sent me some pictures, some clips, videos. I'm going to include them in an upcoming video here. So thank you for emailing me that stuff. Some of you guys reached out to me on Facebook, sent me a message. I will share some of that in a future video. Again, thank you guys. Congrats on your success. If you guys had some success this year, let me know your hunting stories in the comment section. I really like engaging with you guys. And again, if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, 100% free to do so. Thanks again for watching, guys. We'll see you on the next one.